octopus might be aliens.
We can't see like really like where they came from. They're so distinctly intelligent as compared to other life forms. Mainly with reptiles, to me, they're I mean, especially with their eyes and their mannerisms, there's not a lot of like relatability going on there.
Yeah, it would take a very discerning eye to
Yes.
pick up on the emotions of a reptile.
Yeah, and just like anything, if you look deep enough, you'll find it. You'll find it. It's there. They're very much alive, and they do have different personalities. But to an uneducated eye, you're not going to be able to relate to an alligator very well. Whereas an octopus, for example, has mannerisms, and it uses its arms in hand-like ways, or it has these mimics, and the way it gets curious and observes you. They're just little things. And, and beyond those two, like I've seen this happen with like a bullet ant. A bullet ant has very human-like engagement with its mannerisms. So it does vary from species to species, animals to animals. You can't just say like, well, it's mammals and everything else. It's like, I see it in insects. I see it in mammals. I see it in birds. And then of course, with cephalopods, they're incredibly intelligent. And I agree. I think the wonderpuss is the smartest octopus.
Are you in the camp of saying that octopus might be aliens? I feel like I see that.
That's a loaded question.
That shows up on the internet a lot.
So the reason, let's talk about the reason for why that has begun. It's mainly because there's really no fossil records of, the evolution of the octopus. We can't see like really like where they came from. That's because they're goo.
Yeah,
there's not a lot.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah,
there's not a lot to
inside of
fossilize.
there
Yeah, they have the beak, of course, and I think there are like fossilized beaks that they have found. They found some pretty big ones, but knowing a little bit about fossil records and the surface level knowledge we have of just like dinosaurs, which have bones, of course, when it comes to a soft body creature like a cephalopod or a squid or an octopus, you're just going to have a lot less data on those. So that's why this rumor has started. But it's also because they're so distinctly intelligent as compared to other life forms that live in those environments in their size bracket. You don't see like a lot of other creatures that are, about the size of a basketball that can take on like 15 different variants of like mimicry, right? Like,
I don't think a crab is doing that.
No, which crabs can be smart too. They have like decorator crabs that can camouflage themselves, and they have pretty unique character traits where they can, use their claws to crush things, and they can use them to make things. So I don't want to say like crabs are dumb by comparison, but they just can't do nearly as much.
Right.
Sorry to my crustacean fans.
Yeah, come on, man. Anyway, yeah, the Wonderpuss video's out, recent upload. This is a video too that I consider core to the audience. Like this was made for the real fans of Brave Wilderness and the Mark Vins channel.
For sure. It definitely satisfies the classic, like, let us find a really weird creature for you and educate you on it.
Yeah. And, over the years, we've kind of drifted back and forth on this topic, but as YouTube, the platform has evolved and is now so competitive, some of our content we make strategically for the algorithm. We know, like, if we do certain things with the titling, the thumbnail, even the intro of the video, that it will reach a wider audience. However, a lot of that boils down to the topic. So that just the general topic of the video has to align with the general upload. Whereas, the Wonderpuss video, I just think is one of the coolest creatures. And it was this phenomenal encounter I had with this tiny octopus in Indonesia. Indonesia.
Yeah.
We've been to East Asia a lot recently.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm proud that we're still putting out that content. We didn't make that video because we thought it was going to do like a bazillion views, but the people that watch it, like the comments on this video are just fantastic. And I could tell we're reaching the main fans.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. Someone who even gave $2.
Look at, oh, right. We appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Damien Scott, $23.91.
Thanks, Damien. The Wonderpuss is such a funny name. And it has a great name.
Does have a great name.
The Wonderful Wonderpuss, of course. What else have we had come out lately?
It is really beautiful. I will say that. Like, one of the most beautiful octopus I've ever seen.
Totally. Yeah. Octopus are still, to me, like an anomaly in the animal world. And, to your question about, like, do I think they're aliens? I mean, where does life come from? I think there's a lot of interpretation of, like, where the code of life started. That's one of my biggest, I think, challenges with just the pure theory of evolution. Like, I definitely believe in like adaptation and general evolution. I mean, we can see that in fossil records, and we have snippets of it, but we don't have the whole picture. And that could be just because we don't have the fossils yet. Sorry, I'm gonna drink. Everyone, when you have the creationist side, everyone's like, "Oh, fossil evidence, it's fragmented." It's like, well, yeah, it's the collection of the fossils. Just the very process of getting that data is fragmented. Mm-hmm. All the dinosaurs that you see in museums are like multiple dinosaurs kind of glommed together. So yeah, there's a lot of gaps, a lot of holes in it. But with an octopus, where does that come from? Where does that genetic code come from? Where did it start? I think it's highly debatable. And if you want to say it came from another world, that would mean it's an alien. And I would say that I might be leaning toward that. Yeah, I might be leaning toward that. The complexity of life is just so fantastic. Yep. It's hard to imagine it just sparking from nothing. I have a hard time wrapping my head around that. It might be my human brain not able to process it, but for me, it's tough. It's tough.
The ocean is pretty alien in itself. Just like what goes on down there.
Yeah.
How do creatures adapt, and then also just what do we still not know? And I feel like it's so much. We're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, circumstantially, I mean, it is an alien world.
Yeah.
We could not exist there. Like, we can only visit.
Mm-hmm.
You can only be in the ocean for periods of time.
It's a nice way to think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe scary to some too.
Yeah, I mean, you just scuba diving. And this isn't for anyone who's like scared for scuba diving. This isn't going to help, but it's a life support system. It's like you're kind of going down there on a respiratory emergency kit to try to survive for like an hour, because without it you couldn't be there. So
it's like voluntary intubation.
Yeah. So take it for what it is. It is an alien world, and in that respect, octopus are very much aliens to us, to our world. But did they come from another place? I think that's debatable.
See, I've heard we share up to like 60-something% of our DNA with bananas.
I was literally gonna. I
really?
thought you were gonna quote something.
I've not heard that,
because I think so much of
bananas.
so I'm in more of the no camp. Given that, I think a lot of the I am not a scientist whatsoever, very limited knowledge base, but I think a lot of the structure of what our DNA says must just be like how to make the cell at like a very fundamental level,
Yeah, but it's so complicated. Like those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you think about the way computers work, right? With that code at its most primary level is just like this or that.
Binary.
But it's made up of, and I guess it's more than binary with like the new quantum chips and stuff. Like, it's expanded beyond that, but it's still it's a fork in the road, and it can either go this way, or this way. And that's sort of how to my understanding, the genetic code works. You have a set of outcomes, and the code will just dictate the outcome. So when you get down to a very, very basic level, it is basic, but it's just like wrapping your head around that complexity of just the stacks of information that are like so small you couldn't see it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, what is it? Like, you could fit like an insane amount of data into like an insanely like if you were to measure it on a computer, it's like petabytes worth of data into like an incredible, like the pinhead of a needle or something like that.
Whoa. Wait, if you just think about hardware, like everybody, and this is this might be for another podcast entirely, but on the surface, you look at human beings and the things that we consider like not natural that we make. But I'm like, aren't we like also natural? And aren't we making all these things from the planet? It's not like we're going out there and getting things. We're putting together using our brains. So isn't like a car natural at the end of the day?
I don't think those things would ever cross paths in the natural
in
a world
like
without.
If you consider us unnatural,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't see. Humans are natural. I wouldn't call a car natural. Like if it has to be like,
but it was made by
manufactured though.
But it was made by what's up there, right? It's just like a computer. It's just compounded many levels throughout design and iteration.
No, I get what you're saying.
So the ultimate end result looks unnatural, but where it came from is very natural.